What are you wearing right now? When did you buy it? How many times have you worn it? How long till you throw it away? We've started to create a pattern of behavior. Buy, wear, throw, repeat. But that has environmental consequences. In fact,
Average clothing item was only worn about 7 times before being discarded.
that's Dr. Sabine Weber speaking. Together with Dr. Olaf Weber, they authored a paper that explores the potential of textile waste here in Ontario.
Hi, my name is Olaf Weber. I'm a professor and university research chair in sustainable finance at the School for Environment, Enterprise and Development in the Faculty of Environment.
My name is Sabine Weber. I'm a professor at Seneca College in the School of Fashion, and my specialty is sustainability.
Generally, waste audits are conducted in Ontario and other provinces as well. So that's a general thing they do.
Then they hired AET Group, the first time ever, to conduct all the waste audits for them in Ontario.
The problem is that textile is not a waste category on its own.
And I asked them, could you separate the textile waste from those audits for me? And I was in holidays in Austria. And then they said, sure, we can do this.
The biggest takeaway is probably the amount of things in the waste that can be actually reused. Overall, we had 85% that do not have to go into landfill. Then you have certain stuff that you can just reuse. You can wash it and you can wear it. So you have that. Then you have others that you can send to other countries, for instance, for wearing. And then you have things you can recycle. So you make new materials out of that. And only 15% is really waste. And so that's surprising because who thinks that the stuff that you find in the waste is reusable or recyclable.
When we had done kind of our custodian at Seneca, he said, "Oh, what are you doing with all these clothes at the end?" And I said, "Well, it has to go to the garbage. What do you want to do, right?" And then he said, "Oh God, it breaks my heart." And then the custodian team, they washed from one waste audit, not from all, but from one waste audit, they washed every garment twice, and we made an exhibition. Then later on, I thought, maybe we should do something with the material and after this exhibition. And then we made a pop-up store. We sold for $1,250 in one day, secondhand, just to the students at the college. And everybody was super excited because everybody found something cool. People didn't even recognize that this was all the stuff from the garbage.
Sabine and Olaf aren't the only ones that see potential in waste.
Hi, I'm Shreya Rao. I'm in my second year of Environment and Business, and I am WUSA Sustainability Commissioner and Thrift Store Manager. Okay, so with the thrift store, part of the goal was to provide affordable clothing for students, but it was also to divert clothing from landfills. So when students are moving out of their residences, especially like a lot of the international students who can't really take their 10 suitcases worth of stuff back home when they're moving out, we wanted to start the thrift store as a way to divert all that waste that they leave in residences or just throw out in the trash. And we leave that up at SIF. We have a huge storage unit. It has 400, 500 bags filled with clothing that we go and sort through. And all that stuff would end up in the landfill otherwise. So I guess that waste diversion and giving these clothes a second chance is kind of how WUSA is contributing to making sure that we have reusability amongst clothes. And also it's nice stuff. We just got a brand new Michael Kors jacket yesterday. People are getting rid of things like that because they're just too big. They can't carry these things home, or shoes and stuff like that. I think this goes hand in hand with that thing of no youth knows where to start. We know the problem, we just don't know how to fix it. I think that thrift stores should be just one of the alternatives, but it shouldn't be the only alternative. We should have more stores, more brands who are trying to promote environmentalism and sustainability in their practices. So that's why I'm doing the program that I'm doing, is because I want to help these brands who are not able to do that right now, or who haven't understood that sustainability is actually better for them financially long term, and kind of assist them in understanding that. In order to educate people, especially the older generation who hasn't really heard much about it, I feel we need youth voices in that space, which is why I think that thrift stores need to kind of speak up towards corporations who are making the clothes that are ending up in thrift stores and say hey, look how many of your products are showing up here, because people are donating them here because they get too small when they throw them in the wash or something like that. So I think thrift stores have a really big voice in terms of advocacy, and that's where they need to go. But it should not just be one of the alternatives. There should be tons of alternatives, and I think that starts with hearing from the voices of the youth.
Like Christina, who's upcycling materials to promote sustainable fashion.
Hi, I'm a first year in MBIS, Environmental Business, and currently I'm in a club called Fashion for Change, and I am a designer in the club. When I was a kid, like my aunt is a fashion designer, so she started like, making clothes for me and stuff, so that just interested me in a way where I was like, oh, I want to try fashion. And then as I grew up, like I lived in the Philippines when I was younger, and just growing up with like kids who were suffering, like finding clothes from the garbage pile and stuff, I just felt really bad about that and like really wanted to help them. And then after a few years later, I started to learn about like climate change and what's happening to our world, and I was like, what if I could make a difference? Because like fashion is something that I really love to do, and I really wanted to help people, and something that I could help was like climate change. So I was like, through fashion, why can't I help people? All my designs have a meaning towards it, so I would try to emphasize that meaning, and like through that meaning I would be like, oh, this could incorporate in my designs, and then I would create like a big mood board, break it down, and then see if it works out. About my designs, like one of them focuses on glaciers, so ice melting. So I've collaborated a bunch of denim pants, collected them, never bought new jeans, just like old jeans, thrown out jeans, whatever jeans, collaborated them into a dress where it kind of shows like glaciers melting. And then the other one, I wanted to portray microplastics. So I have like a business suit, and that like shows how businesses are not focusing on what they're polluting to the ocean and how they're polluting it, and also like of course to the humans, because the more you wash your clothes, there's more microplastics. So I wanted to portray that, and I want to show that how like our greed, people may not notice it, but are so like great, or we just keep on consuming stuff, and then we know that we're consuming, we know that we're impacting the world greatly, yet we just cover it up and think that it's nothing.
So instead of ignoring, we ask, what can we do?
I think that as long as you are being responsible with your purchases, and you're looking at this piece and you're like, am I actually going to wear this more than 10 times? Don't buy it. Like, you have to make sure that you're actually investing money in things that you are going to use for a long time, which is why you invest in your basics. And yeah.
Sustainable fashion is a shared responsibility between the consumer, the industry, and the government. One cannot without the other. It's very simple. And it's kind of a step by step, haggling forward. That's why it takes so long.